to welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. We're heading down to Miami. Lucas and I will be broadcasting live from South Beach. We will not be wearing sandals because I'm sure it'll be chilly inside the convention hall. This guy was with us, and I found the pictures recently. It's been 19 years. It'll be 20 next year when the Ravens return to Tampa. And I bring cuckoo and nuts to honor Art Modell. Mark Mussina joins us now from high on a hill in Montoursville, Pennsylvania, where they still love baseball, and his brother is still in the Baseball Hall of Fame. And apparently Derek Jeter will be joining him later on this summer. Moose, what's up, man? Cheating in baseball, scandals. It's almost like back when you were living on my couch and we were reading Lords of the Realm together, right?
It was something like that. It's, it's funny because Tim Kirkton was just up here in Williamsport last week, and I talked to him. And one of the things that he had said was, we hear this and we hear how ominous it is and then he says that he's heard that lots of teams do this to some varying degree. And he thinks it's not over yet, and he's just wondering what other names come out. And, did they hit the Astros hardest because were they first? Were they the most successful? Were they the most elaborate? Did they just get ratted out first? I don't know. So it's, you see the things that happen in the NFL with what the Patriots have gotten accused of videoing other signals and videoing practices and deflating footballs. And you can't believe that they're the only team out there that's doing this. It's just, either that someone turned them in because they're good. Because if you're Jacksonville and you're deflating footballs, nobody's complaining. So it's going to be interesting to see where this all shakes down. But then I just saw someone post yesterday on Facebook what, like, Altuve and McCann and someone else, what they hit at home during the World Series and what they hit on the road during the World Series, and it was pretty damning. So, I don't know.
Well, the Altuve, look, all of this stuff, you and I have been at baseball forever. You played it. Your brother played it at a high level. I got thrown out because I would have been the guy ratting your brother out if they were doing this and I found out about it, right? That's why they don't want guys like me around. So, but the cheating part of this, going back to guys getting on airplanes in your brother's era and flying down to the Caribbean and picking up vials of Lord knows what with syringes and needles and injecting themselves daily, some would say in stalls in Texas, as accused by Jose Canseco, that this went on. It went on in and around your brother and seeing guys' foreheads grow and their muscles grow and, hey, dude, what are those milkshakes you're drinking this offseason? All of that went on. To think that you're going to put video cameras next to the dugout in HD and have cameras everywhere and think that the cheating aspect, that the enticement of cheating, the enticement of winning, the enticement of winning more money, making more money. I keep going back to this, and I told Greg Olson, our mutual friend, the Otter, he joined me earlier this week and said some guys get off the path. And I said to him, where is the path? Where is the path where franchises would have bullpens that were illegal to throw off of? You guys in your brother's era would tell me that the Milwaukee and the Cleveland bullpen wasn't a legitimate bullpen mound. That there's cheating like that, and there's nobody to police it, to say you're breaking the rules. There's no police, and we saw with Roger Goodell. I know you and I had long conversations back during Ray Rice about when there's no policeman for sports, that, Palmeiras still living in a gated community, Clemens, Pettit, all these guys, they're just not getting in the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame has become the last place where we decide whether you get to keep your integrity or whether you have none. Because you get to keep all the money, you get to keep all the awards, you keep all of that, except Altuve's kept his job. He's going to go back out and get in the batter's box. Who's not going to throw at his head? And who's going to stop him from throwing at his head? Right? So I just think, and I've said all week, the sun hasn't even come up yet. It's like 5 a.m. on the calendar day of the Astros scandal because it's so far gone that it's like the steroids thing. Everybody's hiding. Nobody's commenting. It's like the WWE staying kayfabe, dude. Really, it is.
There's yes. All those things you said, I agree with. And one of the factors that's going to go with this, I think, more so than the others, is you're going to see so many guys come out and complain about what's going on because of social media. Because in the 90s, when the steroid era was out, guys couldn't get mad and go to Twitter and say something in a knee-jerk reaction. And now they do. That's how society works. We see it all the way from the White House. So we get the opportunity for either other hitters or other pitchers to just see this, get online, and 30 seconds later say, this is crap, and these guys should be banned, or these guys, and I think that the social media aspect that allows the players an immediate voice, the guys who don't have buzzers in their shirts, the guys who aren't stealing signs, and the pitchers who are upset about it, it gives them an immediate voice. Where back in the 90s, when, as you said, everybody in the world knew that something was up with Lenny Dykstra, that he's just morphed into a different person. And all these guys who have just changed, their body type has just changed. But if you're a player in the 90s, the only way you make a statement, you come to the ballpark, you wait for Ken Rosenthal to come to your locker, and then you're like this, you're the one guy standing at the podium, speaking to the masses. This way, there have been, within the first night of it, I just saw report after report after report of player, all these guys condemning it. And there's going to be a lot of fallback from that, I think.
Think about the system, dude. The kayfabe part of this is 30 guys get together and do this and rig it, and then all of a sudden one of them gets dealt off to the A's, and one gets dealt in a package to the Angels, and the bench coach becomes the manager in Boston, and one of the players 2 years later becomes the manager in New York, and Beltran's got $220 million in the bank. I don't even know why he wanted to manage the Mets, but literally, right? I'm just thinking. He loves baseball. That's great. But you love baseball so much that you're 37 years old and you're going to the Hall of Fame and you're putting buzzers in guys' jerseys? Come on, man. I remember a player that you know intimately. One time I was gathered with him after a game watching a replay in his home, and he said, hey, watch this pitch here. I got a ball back that was scuffed. It was scuffed in it went, and I know what to do with it, so I'm going to pitch with the scuffed baseball until it gets fouled off. 3 pitches later, he fouled it off. It pissed me off. I got a fresh baseball. We went and played. Is that cheating? I don't know. It feels to me like Phil Niekro and Joe Niekro were up late trying to figure out how to make every baseball scuff and how to maneuver it and how to make it a lifestyle. And for that, we put Gaylord Perry in the Hall of Fame. We put Phil Niekro in the Hall of Fame. We laugh at Joe Niekro when the Embry board comes out. We laugh at Major League and Vagisil and, the jokes and all of that stuff. But, where's off the path? I asked Greg Olson, where is off the path when there's no policeman? And we have the same story in Baltimore City, by the way. You know what I mean? Like, what's a little robbery without a gun if it's just a robbery? You know what I mean? Like, literally.
Yes, and you're.
There was no
right.
blood. I didn't even really have a gun. The gun was a water gun. But I held it up to her head anyway. It wasn't a real gun.
Right. And in every sport, you're absolutely right. There's. How much holding do you get away with in football, in hockey, in basketball? What is dirty play and what is just part of the game that I'm going to hold when I get a chance and when nobody sees it, and you're right. It's pitching with a scuff ball. And that's the other thing about this is people have been stealing signs forever. It's just where did it come from? Because it used to be back in the olden days when we were little kids and weren't the Little League field, and you're like, if I think the guy on second base is stealing signs, I'm drilling the batter. And that's just how it was.
Well,
So,
and then
but
baseball
now,
lends itself to this. I mean, there's smart guys like your brother sitting around 5.5 days a week, not pitching, and chewing bubble gum and spitting seeds, and I mean, literally, like, and there's you bench guys that get 3 at bats a week on the end of the roster and play on Thursday afternoon or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of time, and you're sitting there on hot summer days and hot spring. Literally, what else are you going to do? They don't let you
no,
use your phone. You can't surf Twitter,
I'm with you. And I've wondered this in college football, where there is probably even less policing than anywhere else. When guys are holding up signs on the sidelines, and if you're say Michigan, and Ohio State is Week 12, and are you telling me that you don't have somebody somewhere who's watching every Ohio State game or who's going to every Ohio State game, and they're filming the flashcards that are put up on the sidelines and the hand signals that they're, and just trying to figure out something, just even if who this guy never gives the sign. It's either this guy, or we're looking for any sort of pattern. With as much money as goes into those huge programs, I can't believe that they don't spend a little of it.
Hey, the NCAA will police that. They've done a great job of policing
they're
things.
all over it.
Well, I guess that's my point, dude. When you set up these systems where there are no police, right? I mean, even these policing systems in football where you say we're all going to have a salary cap. Well, no, we're not, because you can pay your coaches whatever you want. You can pay your video team whatever you want. You could grease Ray Lewis's contract or Tom Brady's contract to do a little wink-wink handshake thing that your corporation and my corporation are going to get together after we're going to corporate, even though that's not against, that's against the rules. But what do rules mean to Bill Belichick? I mean, seriously, you know what I mean? For people, what do rules mean to Donald Trump? People that have flaunted rules and broken laws and written checks and paid off David Pecker and, paid off Stormy Daniels and had their bag man, or they have their Michael Cohen, or they have their college bag guy that goes and gets these players, or they have their boosters at Alabama. The crime never gets punished with the death penalty, right? Ever. So if you get caught, you still get to live in your gated community if you cheated in your Andy Pettit. You know what I mean?
Well, and the world, the reality of the world is it comes from the consumer, and the consumer would rather win than be fair. And how many guys? I remember one of my famous quotes from a friend of mine when I was living down there, when Chris Wilcox came out, and he was on Maryland's national championship team and ended up playing 10 years in the league or whatever. And he came out of North Carolina, and he was he played 10 years in the NBA. And I remember saying to someone, do you think he's a student? Because somehow this guy got out of North Carolina. Duke didn't want him. Carolina didn't want him. Do you think? And someone said to me, who is a Maryland fan, I don't care if he can read, as long as he can rebound. And that's society. People don't care which college kids go to class. They don't care which, I went to a Penn State game a couple years ago, Penn State football, and they draw 100,000 people a week, and now they're a perennial top 10 team again. And they went through during the pregame, and they had every kid starting offense, starting defense, special teamers. They probably went through 25 to 30 guys, and it said their major. And I'm telling you, of the 30 guys, there were 3 that were legitimate college majors. And this is Penn State. This isn't Florida State. This isn't some scandal-ridden, other than the Sandusky scandal. This is not a place that's not a good academic institution. But I'm telling you, 20 of the kids' majors were telecommunications. And I'm like, what does that mean? Does that mean they have an iPhone? What? There was the quarterback, McSorley was an accounting major. One guy was an agricultural business major, and one of the linemen was a history major. And that's it. I mean, you're talking Parks and Rec and telecommunications. And do you think any of the 100,000 people at Penn State care? No. All they care about is, can we beat Ohio State and can we win the Big Ten? And so that's why, at every level, whether it's whether it's the Houston Astros or whether it's the New England Patriots, or the rewards are so great for winning that the people are like, yeah, let's just win.
Mark Mussina is here, brother of Mike Mussina, my friend and co-host for many, many years back in the day, still high on a hill trying to raise his kids and bring them up the right way up there outside of Williamsport, PA. So my wife has been sick recently and, was away from the Astros thing a little bit. Not away from it because it's on the news, but she hadn't, taken a deep dive. And on Saturday of last week, when all the poo hits the fan a couple days later, she sat on bed. She said, so tell me what's this core of this thing? Now they fired the Red Sox manager and the Mets manager. And that ESPN story came out about John Boy, right? So you and I know who John Boy is because we're baseball guys, and we've been following this since back in November. But ESPN put the whole package together, and I showed her the blog. We kind of went through it together. I'm like, so these are the trash cans, okay? She's like, oh, my God, that's unbelievable. That's incredible. Imagine how the pitcher feels. I'm like, okay, let's do that again. And there's another trash can, and here's another instance, and great. And then you get to the video where Altuve's circling the bases and is holding on to his jersey. Tell me what you thought the first time when you saw that. That's a whole different level of, yeah, they cheated. Yeah, there's a system. Yeah, it's a little rudimentary. I can't believe nobody caught on to this. Yeah, it's on videotape. Yeah, they should all go to hell and rotten. And then I saw Rosenthal saying, why did you not want your jersey off? And I thought, oh, somebody in the other teams tipped Rosenthal off that they're wearing wires out here now. And then I saw the Strasburg video where he said they're stealing things and, admitted it, went not kayfabe, right? Went live on Mike with a shoot interview as to what's really going on. And then you really get appalled when you think this guy's wearing a wire and that it's not just some tall tale. You start to see video and you see the results. And what do you think, being a guy who's been involved in this a long time and sat behind home plate watching your brother throw baseballs?
Well, here's my question, and this is the part that I find that's going to be interesting as it moves forward, because America loves Altuve because he's 5'2", and to that part, he is the lovable underdog who overachieved, and it's one of the reasons why this is going to hurt so bad. If it was someone that was vilified, if this was, Carl Everett or Albert Bell.
Ryan Braun.
Yes. If it was one of those guys, then no, but this actually hurts. So my question, it's funny because I just watched the
it kind of hurt like when it was the black guy, Barry Bonds, or the Latin guy, Sammy Sosa, or the white guy, Mark McGwire. They're all doing it, right? It was for every flavor. It was for every it wasn't a Caribbean issue. It wasn't, it wasn't in one faction. It wasn't in one clubhouse. It was pervasive. And I think that's the biggest fear here, to your point back at the beginning of this with Tim Kurkjian is, feels to me like they're all doing it.
Well, yeah, I tell you who, I think it hurts like the Ray Rice thing hurt. Because everybody liked Ray Rice, and they thought that he was a good guy. And then this comes out, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, he's not a good guy. But my question becomes, because I just watched a thing ESPN did about Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson and all this stuff, and it talked about how Pete Rose denied, and then he wrote a book 17 years later and then admitted it. So what's Altuve's play here?
The book for all the crimes that Trump have committed. There will never be a book that he will write about the crimes that he's committed, just so you know.
No. Well, all right, you've tangented, but here. So, does Altuve come out now and say, listen, this is what I did, this is what we did, and does he fall on his sword, or does he go through 2020 denying it? Does he go through 2020 not talking about it? Does he wait until it, how do they play this? And how does America react? Because I know we all think he did it. We're all pretty sure they did it. But then when he comes out and says, I was a willing participant in this, and this is how long we did it, I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know what you do if you are the Astros, especially if you're the players. Because you're right. We haven't played the Super Bowl yet. Like, we are long. They haven't gone to spring training. Wait till they show up in Arizona and they're answering questions every day. Like, it's an 8-month season for them and it hasn't started yet. So I wonder where we are with this in June. I can't believe that Altuve's just out there hitting 310 and everything's in the past. I can't believe that's going to happen. I think there's going to be too much backlash. I think you're going to see suspensions. I think there has to be
Well,
something.
the Players Association is going to have to politic along all of these lines because they've punished everyone except the players that benefited from it, who are still living in the gated communities, still have their jobs, and are still going to work in 2 weeks to play baseball for $30 million a year.
But how many of those players in the union are pitchers or who are?
Well, we're going to find out, right? I mean, we're going to find out how that works because the union has always been about fighting with the owners, not fighting with each other.
Right, and it may happen because, like I said, Clay Bellinger is one of the hitters that came out and said, this is crap. So it's not just the pitchers that are upset. It's the hitters who are playing the game legitimately, and you figure that there are still a lot of those guys who are going, this is just wrong. So, and they're knowing, Clay Bellinger knows how much money he's going to make if the game is not stained. And so it's going to be interesting to see, and it would not shock me if the union, I don't say the union got divided, but if the union heads went to these guys and said, listen, you're going to have to take your medicine here because everybody else is mad. So I'm fascinated to see where it goes from here, but I'm sure there's going to be more videos that people dig up. I heard the one of, I don't remember which guy it was, but something like hopped off his bat. And when he was and he just kind of bent down and picked it up real quick and put it in his pocket. And when it happened, no one really thought anything. But you're like, if a piece of tape or something hopped off your bat or just, peeled off your bat, why would you hurry up and pick it up and shove it in your pocket? Why wouldn't you just, it's athletic tape or it's rosin or it's pine or whatever it is.
A part of the game, a natural part of the game. Yes.
Yeah. Why would you shove it in your pocket? So, I don't know. It's certainly going to be interesting, and it's going to bring a lot of talk to baseball. Unfortunately, it's going to be the wrong talk. And once they finally play, my interest of the baseball season is going to be how juiced are the balls, and does the home run total come way back to earth, as opposed to what it was last year when the balls were out of this world.
Well, chicks dig the long ball, Moose. You know that. Any thoughts you have on Lamar or Mahomes or what we have percolating here? Obviously, I'd rather be planning Super Bowl trips right now. That didn't work out.
It's funny that I saw, and I was going to comment as you were planning on all your Super Bowl stuff before they got there, and the one comment that I was going to make about the Ravens is the thing that scares me about them going into the postseason is they haven't played badly in a long time. If they would have gone out week 14 and stunk, then I would have felt better about them. But even they were the best team in the NFL. And but even the best teams and even the best players, and they have bad weeks, and the Ravens had a bad week a week too late. So, that Lamar, I got in an argument with a friend of mine about Lamar the other day, and I was like, first of all, he's 20. This whole not that he can't win a playoff game, that he's not he's 23 years old. He's an MVP, and put his numbers up against Vic's numbers. People are like he can't throw. Said he led the NFL in touchdown passes. He was 36 with 6 picks. Like there's
and the people that say he stunk in the game, I love that video. I retweeted it this morning of the 8 passes where he hit guys in the hands.
and that's, I was like, you know how many third and longs they completed? If you know how many teams that would want a guy that stinks that accounts for almost 500 yards of offense by himself? And I'm not telling the first interception was high and it got tipped. The second, and the fumble, yes, it was far from his best game. But if that's what bad looks like as long as he doesn't get hurt. And then the other thing that I think is very unfair about, as people talk about Lamar, they look at RG3, they look at Michael Vick, and they say, well, he's going to get hurt because you can't play this way. Well, I think that I'm sure that the Ravens have gotten smarter as they've watched how Vic played and as they watched as RG3 played, and they're like, listen, we have to limit your hits. So because you can't survive like this, but we're more intelligent, and he seems to be quicker than all these other guys. There's just so much unfair negative backlash, I think, that he's taking, at least on the internet. I don't know what the talk on the street is, but to say that his future looks bright is a little bit of an understatement. And the Ravens seem to be built for the next couple of years. They may be the best team in football, and it's not. I said to someone else too. I said, you realize Aaron Rodgers has made one Super Bowl, one. So if this kid stays healthy, I am pretty confident that he is going to make a Super Bowl. So, he's
Tampa next year, baby. Let's go, Moose. Come on. It's unfortunate, and I know, like, you sit there and you kind of watch the world through purple glasses, but they were the best team in football. They were the best team in football who just didn't win, and in the one and done, NCAA format, NFL format, you get one and done, and we see this happen. And but they were the best team, and it's the world wanted to see, as much as to the outside world, Tennessee was a good story because they're underdogs. The world wanted to see Mahomes versus Jackson in the AFC Championship game, and we didn't get. So
to
did
see
I.
it.
I had tickets, Moose. I had tickets, man.
I'm sure you did. Considering their ages, I think there's a really good chance, and not only their ages, the stability of the coaching staffs and the organizations. I think there's a really good chance we see those two in some big games here in the future.
It's Orioles season here, Moose. You know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's what I'm going to let you take home with you. What's today? Today's January 20-something, right? They do not have their tickets on sale. You can't buy a ticket for an Oriole game right now.
Really?
Yeah. Chew on that. All right. I'll leave you with.
I don't even know what to say to that.
But there you go. We'll have at it. Go on to Ticketmaster. Go out onto the web and try to buy an Oriole ticket for August 13th against the Cubs or whatever. All right?
Okay, I'll do that. I'll get right on that.
So, don't go get your tickets because you can't. All right. Moose, love you. Man. Appreciate you. And Hall & Oates, dude. You and me. I can't go for that.
Yeah,
we will.
It is more of an in than an out right now. I would like to see Hall & Oates.
One-on-one. I want to play that game. Let's do it. All right, we'll see you soon, all right?
All right, man.
Moose, Mark Mussina joining us from high on a hill in Montoursville, Pennsylvania, and debating fairness and cheating in sports. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram. We are in South Beach. We'll have the cameras on, the lights, the camera, Patrick Mahomes, and Jimmy Garoppolo. Luke and I will be in South Beach all next week. Big thanks to all of our sponsors for making it happen, including Raskin Global. Leonard Raskin's up in the buyatoyota.com audio vault. My dear friend Dennis Kolatzis will be here from 3 until 5 on Thursday, driving you home and getting you ready. As well as we've entered Terp Talkin' on Monday mornings from 8 until 9. We'll hear from Bruce Posner, Carl Science. That's each and every Monday morning from 8 until 9. So big doing, stuff going on around here. You can throw me a note anytime, nasty at WNST.net. I'm on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Snapchat and Instagram. And all week from Miami, we are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports.